Hi, boys and girls. We are here today ready to start another math lesson. So today we are on math lesson 16. So if you want to make sure you have that page in front of you. Today I don't have the problem, the I can statement or the objective page that I normally start with. I don't know where that went this morning. But if we take a look-see, we should be able to kind of see a pattern with the numbers. Do you see anything over and over again on this page? Any certain number or numbers a lot? Today we are working on multiplying and dividing with ones and zeros. Okay, so we're multiplying and dividing with ones and zeros. So if we just review real quick, anytime we multiply a number times zero, what do we get? Zero, right? So anything times zero is always zero. How about if we multiply a number by one? It's always that other number, right? So 1 times 10 is 10. 1 times 20 is 20. 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. 1 times a million is a million. Good. So any number times 1 is always going to be that other number. That's called the identity property. Okay. And then when we multiply by 0, we know that our answer is always 0. So same thing when we divide by 0, what do you think the answer would always be? It would always be 0. If we divide by 1, the answer would always be that other number. Good. So let's just jump right into our problem set today. So make sure that you have lesson 16 problem set in front of you with the mice and the cheese. Name a date on your paper as always to get started. Okay. All right, so if we look at the first one, we can do a few of these together, and then if you want to work on your own a little bit, and then you can check with me. So if we look at A, we have blank times 1 equals 6. Well, if my answer is 6, and I'm multiplying times 1, what would this answer be right here? It would be 6, right? So 6 times 1 equals 6. Blank divided by 7 equals 0. Well, if my answer is 0, how would I get that 0? What would this number be right here? It would be a 0 also, right? And the way that we can check that, boys and girls, is I can do, since I'm dividing, to check it, I can do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. And I can say, what is 0 times 7? And it's 0, so that I know that I'm correct there, okay? Good. Take a look at C. 8 times blank equals 8, right? What you think the answer is right in that blank there. Did you say 1? Good, it's an identity property, right? So anything times 1 is always that same number, okay? 9 divided by blank equals 9. What would go in that blank right there, do you think? Would it be a 0? It can't be a 0 because if I'm, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. It wouldn't be a 0, but it would be a 1, right? In order to get that same number, I'm going to divide by 1. And remember how to do that check? So if I'm dividing, to do my check, I can do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. So I can say 9 times 1 equals 9, so I know that I'm correct. Okay? 0 divided by 5 would be 0. Blank times 0 would be 0. I might say 0, but I'm going to tell you, any number can go in that blank. You could put anything in there because anything times 0 is always 0. So even if you wanted to put 1,000 in there, 1,000 times 0 is 0. So really, you could put any number in that blank. So you can pick any number you want and stick it in that blank because any number you put in there times 0 is 0. All right. If we take a look at G, 4 divided by what equals 1? What do you think for that one? And if you're not sure, think to yourself, so we're dividing. So to do our check, do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. And you can say 1 times what equals 4? 1 times 4 equals 4. Another way to think about that, 4 goes into itself 1 time, right? So if I count by 4s till I get to 4, I've got 4, right? I can only do it 1 time. So anytime when you're dividing and your answer is 1, the two numbers are going to be the same. Okay, so 5 divided by 5 equals 1, 10 divided by 10 equals 1, 60 divided by 60 equals 1, 479 divided by 479 equals 1. We get it? Yeah, anytime you take a number and you divide it by itself, it's always going to equal 1. All right, and take a look at that one. Blank times 1 equals 3. What would you put in that blank there? 3, right? Okay, because any number times 1 is always going to equal that same number. So if our answer is 3, we have to be multiplying by 3. All right, look at number 2. We're going to match each equation with its solution. So we're going to look at the equation on each mouse, and we're going to match it to his lunch. Okay, so we have 1 times n equals 3. Well, what would n equal? It would have to be a 3, right? So 1 times 3 equals 3. So n equals 3. And let's find the cheese that says n equals 3. So squeak, 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 squeak. There we go. Do you want to try the rest of these on your own? Okay, go ahead and pause the video and try those rest on your own and then give it a go and then come back and check when you're done, okay? Go ahead. Okay, so if you're back with me to check, we have n divided by 4 equals 0. Well, if our answer is going to be 0, what must n be? It must be 0, right? To get that answer of 0. So n equals 0. Take that mouse to his cheese. How'd you do? Did you get it? Good. 1 times 6 equals n. What did you say n equals? We're multiplying by 1, so n has to equal 6. So take that mouse to his cheese. Squeak, 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 squeak. How'd you do? Good. All right, 7 divided by 7. So you could say, how many times does 7 go into 7? And it goes in 1 time. If we count by 7s till we get to 7. Ready? Here we go. 7. Stop. We don't get very far, right? So 7 divided by 7 equals 1. So n equals 1. And where's that 1? It's all the way at the end. Ooh. Okay. N times 1 equals 9. So we're multiplying by 1. So what must n equal? It must be 9, right? N equals 9 because 9 times 1 equals 9, right? And there we go. And the last one, n divided by 1 equals 8. What did you say n equals there? What did you say? It's 8. Good job. And the way we can check that by saying, since we're dividing, to check we can do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. And we can say that 8 times 1 equals 8. Okay, and I almost forgot to take that poor mouse to his cheese. There we go. Give me 2 thumbs up if you have those. Okay, and if not, I hope that we are understanding our mistakes and we just keep working to grow stronger and stronger. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. So number 3 says, let n be a number. Complete the blanks below with products. So we're just going to do like 1 times 1, which is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. You can finish these up if you want to pause and finish it up or just work right along with me. 4 times 1 is 4. 5 times 1 is 5. What are you noticing? They're just counting up by 1. They're increasing by 1. 6 times 1 is 6. 7 times 1 is 7. 8 times 1 is 8. 9 times 1 is 9. What's n times 1? It would be n, right? Because anything times 1 is always that other number. So if we're letting n be a number, so our answer there would be n, okay? Because n is standing for a number. So we're just increasing by 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, n, okay? Good. If you're good there, go ahead and flip it over. If you need a little more time, you can pause your video and then join me on the back when you're ready. Okay, so let's look. On the back, it says, put your finger on Josie and follow along with me. Okay, here we go. Josie says that any number divided by 1 equals that number. Write a division equation using n to represent Josie's statement. So Josie says that any number divided by 1 equals that number. So we just want to show what she's saying there, but we want to use n to represent any number. So any number, we're going to use n to represent that. So n divided by 1, so n divided by 1 equals that number. So n divided by 1 equals n. Does that make sense? Okay, so she says that any number divided by 1 equals that number. Write the division equation using n to represent Josie's statement. So there we go. Part B says use your equation from part A. Let n equal 6. Write a new equation and draw a picture to show that your equation is true. So we want to rewrite n divided by 1 equals n, but instead of writing n this time, we're going to write 6, right? So we have n, so I'm going to put 6. 6 divided by 1 equals 6, right? Because n equals 6. Do we agree with that? Yeah. Because I can also do my check. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So I could say 6 times 1 equals 6, right? Okay, so then it says to draw a picture to show that your equation is true. So a couple different ways that we could do this. So we could have one group with 6 in it. Okay, so that could be like if we had 6 and we put it into one group, we would have 6 in each group. We could also do 6 groups. And how many would we put in each group? 1, right? Good. So this would give me one group of 6 or 6 groups of 1. And what property did I use flip-flopping those so easily like that? That is the commutative property, right? And again, if you're not sure of a picture based on your division, just turn it around. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So if I write 1 times 6 equals 6, that should hopefully make it easier to think of a picture, because we know that in division or multiplication, the first number often represents the number of groups. So there's one group of 6, okay, and it equals 6 because there's 6 total. I can flip-flop that, and I could say 6 groups with 1 in each one, and then we get 6 for a total. Does that make sense? So if you're not sure of a picture based on your division sentence, then just turn it into a multiplication sentence. Okay? Oh, and actually, if I look at C, it says to write the related multiplication equation that you can use to check your division equation. We already did that. So we could say, we'll just rewrite it again. So 1 times 6 equals 6. And I could also say 6 times 1 equals 6, right? 6 times 1 equals 6. So just looking at that backwards like that. Alrighty. Okay, here we go. Number 5. Put your finger or your pencil on Matt, and will you read this with me? Okay, here we go. Matt explains what he learned about dividing with 0 to his little sister. What might Matt tell his sister about solving 0 divided by 9? So if I have 0 crayons and I want to split them up between 9 kids, how many crayons is each kid going to get? 0, right? If I have 0 crayons or 0 cookies or 0 Skittles, and I want to split those 0 pieces up with 9 people, how many are they each going to get? It would be 0. So anytime you take 0 divided by a number, it's always going to be 0 because there isn't any to share. Okay, so what might Matt tell his sister about solving 0 divided by 9? So 0 divided by 9 equals 0. Okay, and then we could say 0 divided by any number is always 0, right? So 0 divided by any number is always 0. I mean, we won't write it, but just as long as you know. So if we have 0 divided by a number, it's going to be 0 because there's nothing to split up. There's no total to share. Does that make sense? Okay. If I have 0 crayons or 0 cookies or 0 friendship bracelets and I want to share them or split them up with 9 people or however many, each person would get 0 because there's nothing to share. There's nothing to split up. Okay. Look at the next one. Okay. So what might Matt tell his sister about solving 8 divided by 0? So you can, and that's why on the front I started to say something about dividing by 0, but then I said, oh, I'm going to save it. You can't divide by 0. Okay. You can't divide by 0. So if we think about that one, if I had 8 cookies and I want to divide them between 0 people, how many cookies would each person get? Well, they wouldn't be able to get any, right? And that would still leave me with those 8 cookies. So you can't divide by 0. We can have 0 divided by a number, but we can't have a number divided by 0 because it doesn't work, because we would still have those 8 cookies left over. And we know that anything times or when we're dividing with 0 always equals 0. So if I have 8 cookies and I try to divide that by 0, I still have those 8 cookies left, but that's not how it works. So you can't divide by 0. And can I actually show you? I'm going to pull up the calculator on my phone, because if you try to divide by 0 on a calculator, I'm going to show you what happens. So if I put that problem, 8 divided by 0 equals, what does it say? Error. So anytime that you divide by 0, you can't. So if you try this on a calculator, if you have a calculator at home, or you pull up your calculator on your phone like I did, it's going to show an error, which means it's impossible. You can't do it. So any number. So if I pick like 50 divided by 0, it's an error. You can't do it. What if I do 0 divided by 50? 0 divided by 50. Can I do that one? Yes, because I can start with 0 in my division sentence, and that answer is always going to be 0. So like this one, 0 divided by 9. So if I try 0 divided by 9, that equals 0. Could I do 9 divided by 0 though? I can't divide by 0, right? 9 divided by 0, error. If I did like 1,000 divided by 0, can I do that? I'm going to get an error. So anytime we're dividing by 0, your calculator is going to show an error because you cannot multiply by 0. Okay. So what might Matt tell his sister about solving 8 divided by 0? You can't solve 8 divided by 0 because you can't divide by 0. You can't solve 8 divided by 0 because you can't divide by 0. You just can't do it. It doesn't work in math. Okay, if you need to pause to finish that last one up, you can. I'm going to look at C. What might Matt tell his sister about solving 0 divided by 0? Explain. Can we do 0 divided by 0? It's starting with a 0, which we said we can do, right? Because we have 0 divided by 9 equals 0. But it's 0 divided by 0. So we're dividing by 0. Can we do it? No, because you can't divide by 0. Let's try it on the calculator. Okay, let's pull it up. So we've got, that one is 0 divided by 0 equals error. You can't do it. Okay, so we can't do 0 divided by 0 because it is dividing by 0. Okay, so you can't solve 0 divided by 0 because, same thing, you can't divide by 0. So same thing. We just changed 8 divided by 0 to 0 divided by 0. But the reasoning is the same for both of them because you can't divide by 0. Okay. Make sure, boys and girls, that both of your sentences begin with a capital letter, because even though we're doing math, we can still write and complete sentences and practice those good writing habits. And make sure that both of your sentences end with a period. Can you do that for me? All right. So nice job today. I know that we've been multiplying by ones and zeros and doing division with those numbers as well for quite some time, but we probably never really thought about them specifically. So this just is a little bit of extra practice that kind of helps to drive that home a little bit, okay? So super job today, and I will see you all tomorrow.